Hello everyone, we are back in the Target parking lot on a completely different day, my weird shorts, for the third and final episode of Driving Masterclass. Today I will be teaching you guys how to double clutch and how to rev match, heel and toe, whatever. You can rev match without heel and towing though. So, I figured put them both in the same episode just because double clutching doesn't take that long to learn or teach. So, I may as well keep it in the same episode as rev matching and double clutching, depending on how you do it. Some people don't rev match in between double clutching or in with the two clutch hits, but most people do rev match, so it is a form of rev matching. Although floating gears is also kind of matching the revs. But I figured to leave that for a different video because no clutch but whatever. So, what is rev matching? Rev matching is where in mostly a downshift, if you notice, when you downshift the car, the revs start to climb up the tachometer and the car slows down. Rev matching is simply when you manually make the car go up to that amount of revs, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less. It's a little bit hard to get the exact number, but when you do it yourself by blipping the throttle. Blip just means like a little tap of the throttle, just like that. Just a little tap. Heel and toe is simply when your toes are on the brake and the heel is blipping the throttle. Some people do left and right side of foot. I will show you guys both and tell you which one I like doing. And double clutching is simply, let's say you're in second gear, is pushing in the clutch, putting it into neutral, releasing the clutch, blipping the throttle, and putting it into the next or previous gear. Most of the time, it's going to be more like a third to second. So third gear, you take it out of the gear, you release the clutch, blip the throttle a little bit, and put it into second. You can do it faster, you can do it a little bit faster, or you can do it a little bit slower. Depends on how you drive, but I'll just get straight into it now that I've explained it to you. I'm going to start with double clutching. Now, let's say I want to go from first to second gear. Clutch in, neutral, clutch out, and then clutch back in second gear. Now, I don't typically see the need of double clutching in a synchronized transmission. They're mostly for unsynchronized transmission, like semi-trucks, old buses, old cars, and especially not when upshifting, because typically you would blip the throttle in between, which you wouldn't have to do if you're upshifting since the revs tend to drop, but it can make the shift a little bit smoother, which is always welcome in my car. So I'm just gonna come around here. I do need to get to third gear. All right, and now you're slowing down. Clutch in, neutral, clutch out, blip the throttle, and boom. Now, it's a little bit harder to show you guys in a parking lot because I can't get to the desired speeds or the desired revs, but I will show you guys out on the road. I'm just using this parking lot kind of to show you the motion rather than to really show you how to do it. This is more for the motion, right? So imagine you're in third gear and you're hitting the brakes right now to slow down. What you would do in order to double clutch is you would clutch in, pull it in neutral, clutch out, blip the throttle up to where you think the revs would go when you put it in second, clutch in and second gear. You can do it quite fast. I will show you out on the road a little bit better, but now I'm going to explain rev matching or heel and towing, which you can rev match without heel and towing and without double clutching. It's mostly just giving it the slight throttle blip as you release the clutch in the previous gear. So let's say you're in fourth gear and you want to slow down to third. You bring it into third, and as you're releasing the clutch, you blip the throttle up to the desired RPMs. heel and toe, you are slowing down. You're using the brakes as well, and either by using the right side of your foot or by moving your foot to where your heel can hit it as you're releasing the clutch and braking at the same time after putting it into the previous gear, you would blip the throttle. Now, I will explain these better out on the road. This was simply just a show. If you need to know the real mechanics of it, you can practice them in a parking lot, but we're gonna need to go to a back road or a slightly less populated road for this. Now, clutch in, neutral, clutch out, and clutch in, second gear. Clutch in, neutral, clutch out, clutch in, third gear. And it can make the shifts feel a lot more smooth, even in a synchro mesh transmission. So it's not a bad way to drive around. Clutch in, neutral, clutch out, clutch in, fourth gear, and clutch out. Pretty simple stuff. Double clutching is not very hard, and even if you clutch in, neutral, clutch out, and boom. You can also kind of rev match it. I'm not too good at rev matching, and it's very hard to get the exact RPMs, but go back into fourth gear that way. There you go. And now, heel and toe, bring it into second gear, and blip the throttle as I'm taking the clutch out. Now, the mechanics can be very, very tough. You have to hit the brakes enough to slow down. You have to put the car into a previous gear, and you have to move your foot to blip the throttle. It can be a little tough, but with practice, it'll get easier. And knowing the exact amount of revs is always going to be a little bit challenging, but it is something that gets easier. And let's say you want to do it with half and half. Maybe moving your heel to the side is a little bit uncomfortable. That's how I felt when I first started. You can use left and right side of foot depending on the pedal placement. So you'd hit the brakes, clutch in, third gear, and blip the throttle with the right side of your foot. It's essentially the same thing, but in some cars, if you press the brakes in enough, it'll go right past the throttle pedal. So you will have to release the brakes just a little bit, and it can feel a little odd. I do like doing left and right side of foot a little bit better. I think it's a little more comfortable, but just the fact that sometimes you're gonna have to brake pretty hard, so it can be a little bit odd. So, double clutching, clutch in, blip, boom. Again, getting the right RPMs can be a little bit tough, but let's show you heel and toe. Clutch in, down to second, blip the throttle, and release the clutch. Now, something that I have been told in a video, in the comment section, video of mine, is that you can usually go around 1,000 RPMs above if you're heel and towing / rev matching, which makes it just a little bit easier. And if you know you're a little bit above or at the right range, you can drop the clutch. Now, if you're not, if you're a little bit below, that'll make it a little very rough, but it's a toss-up. It's very hard to get sometimes, and it can be a little awkward. You don't really know exactly how many RPMs you need, and it just can feel really, really awkward. Clutch in, neutral, release the clutch, clutch in, fifth gear, and clutch out. Now I'm going to rev match without heel and towing. Just gonna go into fourth gear, and as I'm releasing the clutch, just give it a little blip. Now that was a little messy, but whatever. Now going into third gear, you might have to let the revs drop just a little bit, slow down just a little bit if you want to do it without the brakes, but third gear, and boom, smooth as butter. Now I'm going to heel and toe it. So press in the brakes and clutch in, second gear, blip the throttle, and as you see there, a little inconsistent. It's very, very hard to get the perfect RPMs, and you will make mistakes if... Just think of it like this. If you make mistakes, if manual is something you make mistakes driving regularly, which most people do, then you will make mistakes driving it with flair, like I'm describing heel and toe as. And everybody makes mistakes when driving manual, and everybody makes mistakes when driving heel and toe. It's just how it is. There's really no getting around it, but I'm gonna come over here. And that was with the side of my foot. Clutch in. There you go. Heel and toe. It's clutch in, bring it down a gear. While you're hitting the brakes, you blip the throttle and release the clutch around the same time. It can be very awkward though. And I think it's good to know both ways if you can, just so that you have a little bit of flexibility. Clutch in, flip the throttle, and boom. You can go a little bit above. It's okay. It actually makes it a little bit more smooth. Don't you turn on me. Give you an example of a double clutch. Clutch in, blip the throttle, boom. That was bad because I didn't give it enough revs, but you're gonna make that mistake a lot. Again, I do a bad shift. I tend to drive a little bit worse on camera for some reason, but anyways, you are going to make that mistake a lot of the times. You don't want to over rev, so you're gonna end up overcompensating and under revving it. So that's okay, it happens. I still do it. I'm pretty new-ish to heel and towing. I've been doing it enough to where I can describe it and I can show you guys, but it's very, very inconsistent because it's mostly like a guessing game. Sometimes the revs are always going to be just a little bit different, but you end up seeing a pattern and you end up being able to tell at this speed I have to blip it this much, and you start to get a feel for it. So, watch in. That was a double clutch. Can be a little more awkward than heel and toe sometimes because you end up just like randomly clutching for some reason. I'm gonna go back up to 4th gear, that way I can show you guys. Now the actual heel and toe, not the side of foot with side of foot, can also feel super, super awkward. I'm gonna move this back a little bit. It's a little too far back. Nope, still can't move this down. That's a bad idea. But it's whatever you make of it. If you think it's impossible, then it's gonna be impossible. But if you know, bit my tongue a little bit, if you know that it's easy, or can get easy, or can get simple, or can get to the point where it's muscle memory, then it shouldn't be that much of an issue. It'll take some time, but you can get it. Just clutch in, bring it to the previous gear, blip the throttle, and while you release the clutch, and boom, you got it. And it's usually while you release the clutch. You can blip the throttle a little bit before, but while doing it while you release the clutch, or at least very close to before you release the clutch, keeps it from dropping too much before you release the clutch. So, going to push the brakes in, and that was with the side foot, and that was heel and toe. And it makes the downshifts a lot smoother. 3rd to 2nd is usually harder than 5th to 4th and 4th to 3rd. 5th to 4th is usually the easiest one. But again, and you could just be like, I need to slow down just a little bit. So, boom. You don't even need to brake at all. You just saw that you might need to gear down a little bit, and boom, just blip the throttle real quick. Or if you want to make it a little bit more flary and a little bit more smooth, then clutch in, neutral, flip the throttle, clutch in, and boom. I waited a little too long, but I was explaining it, so I had to let my brain kind of catch up. But it makes for a very satisfying experience. Clutch in, previous gear, flip the throttle, and release the clutch. Again, as you saw, I did not get it right that time, and that's okay. It happens. And it's a little hard to explain while I'm doing it because I have to like do both and go really fast, but it shouldn't be that big of an issue. It happens, mistakes happen, and you will make mistakes, and that's okay. That's how you learn. You never learn by being perfect, because if you were perfect, then you've already learned, right? So, I'm sorry if that, again, I'm going to say this in every video, I'm sorry if that explanation wasn't good enough, but there's plenty of videos out there. If this one wasn't good enough, then go to another one. I just want you guys to learn as much as you can about driving, about manual transmissions, about things that you might not know about right now. Because knowing your car and knowing how to do as many things as you can with your car makes you a better driver, and it makes all of us a better driver if we follow by that example. So I hope you guys at least got something out of this video. Maybe it sparked a further interest in wanting to learn this, and maybe you're going to go to more videos and you're actually going to go out and learn it, and that is great. Maybe you didn't like it. Give me some constructive criticism in the comments. But if you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, which will probably be another POV video, regular test drive video. So yeah, see ya.